Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Paraben-free, peace with care. For beard mousse, armpit mousse, or jock mousse, visit shalomcare4u2u.com. Shalom Care.
Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this platform by individuals, callers, or invited guests are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with the brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation through PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. You're now tuning in to Debate Talk for You Radio. I am Gabbar Alaha, and this is Spiritual Food Sabbath Meal, Episode 7. We made it all the way to Episode 7. Most High willing, Father, you have sought it fit for your mercy and your grace to be bestowed that we can bring forth the information. Today, we're going to be going over the book of life. The book of life. Okay. Don't plan to hold y'all for too much time. This is actually a fairly quick subject that I'm going to be going over. So I'll probably be done in about an hour. And then from there, I'm going to open up the I'm going to actually send the link out in the chat, Salakia. I'm going to send the link out in the chat. So that way people want to come on, ask questions, give feedback, share what they may have on the subject matter. That will be going out towards the end. But again, Spiritual Food Sabbath Meal Episode 7, gonna be going into the book of life. Before I begin, I just want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the authority of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who was commonly called Jesus Christ. And to everybody that's tuning in, whether you're tuning in now or in the playback, may Yahweh keep you and watch over you always. All right. So again, gonna be going over the book of life. Okay. It's a real juicy subject, but don't need a whole lot of scriptures to actually deal with this. Okay. Just gonna be getting straight to the point and just gonna bring this out. Okay. So now the reason why I chose this subject is because when I was in the Christian church, I had a understanding on what the book of life was, but then once I came into the knowledge of being a Hebrew and I started to study the subject for myself, I came across some interesting information regarding this. And it's very interesting, and it's actually very convicting. So I hope that as you are tuning in, what you hear today convicts you to get on that narrow and straight path. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Shout out to Sal Showtime for allowing me to come on and present this information. Most High willing, again, I say it every week. We'll try to get him on here. All right, and y'all will be seeing and hearing from him. Most High willing. All right. I do know that they went ahead and started the blog talk site again. So go ahead and check those out whenever you get the chance. And those should be uploaded to the YouTube channel as well once they go live on Blog Talk Radio. All right. Without further ado, once again, Salaki, I just wanted to go ahead and plug that in real quick. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to be getting into the book of life. All right. The book of life. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Let me see what's going on with this. Hold on. Give me 1 second here, y'all. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. So the first scripture I'm going to be going to is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 3. Okay. Philippians chapter 4, verse 3. We're going to start here. It reads, "And I entreat thee also, true yokefellow, help those women which labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other my fellow laborers, whose names are in the book of life." Okay, so Paul is writing to the city of Philippi, and he's saying that the women who labored with him, along with Clement and everyone else who labored with him, have their names in the book of life. Their names are already there. Now, what's interesting is when I was in the Christian church, the way this got taught about the book of life is you got to try to get your name in there. Okay, you got to try to get your name in the book of life. But Paul is saying that their names are already there. Their names are already there. Okay, before the Messiah returns or anything like that, their names are already there. So when I was starting to study the subject, I started to scratch my head, and I was like, this is very interesting that he's making this statement about their names already being in the book of life. So what does this mean? Okay, so we're gonna get some understanding on what this book of life is, the rewards for having your name written in the book of life, what it means to have your name blotted out from the book of life. Okay, we're going to get into all of that. Okay, but again, we're starting here because Paul, he has this understanding that their names are already there. Somehow he understands their names are already being in the book of life. Okay, before the Messiah returns. Okay, so let's go a little further into this. So now, what is the book of life? What is it exactly? Okay, we're going to go to Daniel 12. Excuse me, Daniel 12. Didn't mean to drop that out for you guys. Daniel 12, and we're going to read verse 1. Daniel 12 and verse 1. Okay. All right, Daniel 12, verse 1, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book." Okay, so now we see here that Daniel the prophet is talking about this book again. Okay, everyone that's getting delivered has their names found written in the book. Okay, the people that are being delivered have their names written in the book of life. Okay, so again, if we couple that with what Paul stated about how names are already written there, Clement and the women that labor with him in the gospel, they would be included in that. Okay, so again, how does Paul know this already? Okay, how does he already know that they're going to partake in this? Okay, so we see this here, that everyone that's delivered has their name written in the book. All right, let's go to Malachi chapter 3. I'm going to go to Malachi chapter 3, and we're going to read verse 16 and 17. All right, so Malachi chapter 3, verse 16 and 17. All right, so Malachi 3, beginning at verse 16. "Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that taught upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him." Okay, so now the book of life is also a book of remembrance. So it's something that has to be, these names got to be remembered. Okay, and we're going to get into why. But the book of life, those who get delivered have their names written in there in order for their names to be remembered. Okay, so it's like a record book. It's a book of records that has to be in order so that way they can go back and look at it and say, okay, this person's name is there. Okay, boom, and now they're being delivered. Okay, so this is a record book that is there for remembrance, because it's just like how why we got to do all things in writing, as the scripture says to let all things be done in writing. All right, you got to keep records of your transactions, which is why in the modern times you are given a receipt for or a proof of purchase. Okay, because those things got to be remembered. Okay, remember I purchased this on this date, etc., etc., etc. Okay, same way the book of life works. It's a book of remembrance. It's to keep record of the names of those who are going to be delivered. Okay, now where is this book written? Where is this book of life, which is a book of remembrance? Where is it written? Okay, we're going to get that. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews 12, and we're going to read verse 22 and 23. So Hebrews 12, verse 22 and 23. Again, I don't plan to keep you guys for too long this morning, because I'm gonna just be jumping right into this, and we're just gonna keep it moving along. Okay. So Hebrews 12, verse 22 and 23. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. Okay, so this book of life, which is a book of remembrance, is kept as a record in heaven. Okay, so that's where the book of life is written at. It's written for remembrance in heaven. So the record is kept in heaven. All right. So now when it talks about you're coming unto Mount Zion and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels, all right, to the general assembly and church, or kohal in Hebrew, or in Greek, it is ecclesia. And we'll get into that subject another time about what the true church actually is. We'll get into that. I may have to do that on the controversial side because that may hurt a lot of people's feelings. But to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all. Okay, so these, you are remembered in heaven by having your name written in the book of life. Okay, because it's kept as a record in heaven to be remembered, so that way you can get into the kingdom. Okay, now again, going back to what Paul stated, because I'm gonna have to keep referencing that until I start to culminate that point. How does Paul know, and how can he make a statement about Clement and the women and the people who labored with him? How does he already know that their names are remembered in heaven? Again, how does he already know this? How? Okay. At that time, he didn't ascend into heaven. Okay. At that time, he didn't. So how does he know? Okay. How does he have this understanding? Let's go to Luke chapter 10 and verse 20. All right. Luke chapter 10 and verse 20. The Gospel of Luke chapter 10 and verse 20. Okay. It says, notwithstanding, in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Okay. So it's seeing that the Messiah is saying it again. Okay. Right here, just like we read in Hebrews, the Messiah says it himself. Your name is kept as a record of remembrance in heaven. Okay. So that way you can be given access into the New Jerusalem. Okay. Now, why is it even called the Book of Life? Okay. Why is it even called that? We're going to get into that. Okay. Why is it even phrased as a book of life? Okay. We're going to deal with that also. But this is a record book that is written in heaven for remembrance. So that way, Most High knows who's getting in and who's not getting in. Okay. So the angels can have that on file, so to speak, to know who's getting in and who's not getting in. It's going to be documented. Okay. Now, I'm gonna deal with some rewards for having your name written in heaven. Okay. The first place I want to go to is Isaiah chapter 4. Isaiah chapter 4. So let me get here real quick. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 3 and 4. All right, Isaiah chapter 4, verse 3 and 4. It says, and it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion And he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even everyone that is written among the living in Jerusalem, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Okay, so we see here that even the prophet Isaiah says that those that are being called holy or set apart have their names written among the living in Jerusalem. Hence the book of life, okay, which is a record book to be remembered, documented in heaven. Okay, so, and this is going to happen when the filth of the daughters of Zion is washed away, and the blood of Jerusalem is purged by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Okay, so, but again, like I said before, Paul already knows certain individuals that have their names in that book already. How does he know this? How? How can he possibly know already? All right. This is the question that's got to get answered. How does he already know? And again, when I was in the Christian church, it was taught that you got to get your name in there. Paul's saying different. Their names are already there. Okay. How is this possible? All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 3 and verse 5. We're going to get one more reward, then we're going to get into it a little bit more. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 5. Revelation chapter 3 verse 5 says, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So that's another reward that you get for having your name written in the book of life, is the Messiah confesses you before his Father, before the Most High. All right. And your name is not blotted out. Okay. So we got to understand, okay, if names are already there, how do they get blotted out, and so on and so forth? Okay, we gotta understand that. Okay, because Paul, again, he's already stating that these certain individuals already have their names there. Okay, so now how do you get your name blotted out? We're going to get into that now. Okay, and we're going to get a little bit more understanding on at what point is your name in the book of life. At what point is it kept as a record in heaven? At what point? Okay, so, and this is going to get deeper into the blotted out stuff. All right, so now I want to go to Psalm 139, the book of Psalms, chapter 139. Just Salaki, give me 1 second, y'all. Psalm 139, and I want to read verse 16. Psalm 139, verse 16. It says, thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. Okay, so verse is talking about that when we were unperfect, that our members were written in the book. So now I want to look up a word real quick here. I want to look up this word unperfect. Okay, so let me switch over here. All right, I'm going to click on the word unperfect, and it's the Strong's number H1564. Okay, H1564. I'm gonna just give it a minute to populate. All right, then I'm going to switch over here to the dictionary. Let me make this bigger. All right, so it's the Hebrew word golem or galam, and for imperfect, and it's defined as an embryo or a fetus. An embryo or a fetus. That's Brown Jarvis Briggs, how they define it. And Strong's is defined as a wrapped and unformed mass that is as an embryo, substance yet being unperfect. So when we go back over here, let me click back to this and we read this again. Thine eyes did see my substance yet being unperfect. What that's saying is thine eyes did see my substance yet being an embryo, not yet fully formed in the womb. It says, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance that embryo is fashioned, when as yet there were no members yet. So from the moment you get conceived in the womb, your name is written in the book of life. So this is a birth record book that's written in heaven. It's birth records. And your name is there from the moment you are conceived in the and start to be formed in the womb. Your name gets written in it. So if we go back to Revelation chapter 3, verse 5, and the Messiah has a reward that your name is not blotted out, what does that mean? You got to keep your name there. You have a duty to keep your name in the book of life. Your name is in the book of life right now. And as long as you stay righteous, your name will be there. But if you start screwing up, your name gets blotted out. All right. So that's something heavy that we got to think about. All right. We got to seriously start looking at it like this. Like, all right, from the moment I was born, my name is there. I got to keep it there. I got to keep my spot. I remember I taught this lesson a while back, and one of the sisters, she kind of had made it simple like that, man. You got to keep your spot. You got to keep your spot in the book. Okay. Because you want to be remembered. This is why it's a book of life. It's literal. It's a literal book of life. Everyone that was given life, your name is there, but you got to keep it there. You can't get it blotted out. Okay. Let's prove that a little more. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Exodus 32. And we're going to read verse 31. Again, I'm not going to keep you guys too long today. This is actually going to go kind of quick today. Exodus 32, starting at verse 31. Okay. Exodus 32, starting at verse 31. All right, it reads, and Moses returned unto the Lord and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, Salakia, out of thy book which thou hast written. And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever have sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Okay. So now Moses, he has the understanding that you can blot me out of a book right now, which means he already knew his name was there. He already has an understanding that his name is in the book of life or the book of remembrance. He already knew. This is how he's able to make this statement. Blot me out of the book which thou hast written. Okay. So again, this is showing that the book of life is a book, a birth record book in heaven. Picture it like a huge book of birth certificates. Just picture it like that. A huge book of birth certificates that's in heaven. And if you are blotted out, that means that your record just gets erased. The record of you living gets erased. Completely, it gets completely erased. Okay. I remember I'm studying with some of the brothers, and we were discussing about how when you actually study some of the genealogies, as you start to really pay attention, some people are missing in the genealogies as you go forward throughout time. Some people's names are not there anymore, and when they were once there, when you actually started looking in the genealogies, especially in Chronicles, some people are not there, and that's because their names have been removed. Okay, so this is a serious deal. So if we are here today, O Israel, and we have come down, And we've come down through the remnant of our forefathers and descendants. We need to be thankful and so appreciative of the mercy and the grace that the Most High has bestowed upon us, because he's still allowing us to be here and have us being remembered. Okay, but we need to also be fearful of the judgment of having your whole existence of life erased in heaven. Okay, this is why the Messiah says in Matthew 7, I never knew you. They're going to look in the book, they're going to be like, I don't remember who you are. I don't know you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Because that means, and we're gonna get into it, that means that if you're not remembered, if your life is not remembered, that means this person did something. So now they got to go to these other books. And we're going to get into that. Okay. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29. Deuteronomy 29. And we're going to start at verse 14. Deuteronomy 29. And we're going to start at verse 14. All right. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 14. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. Okay, so that's an important verse 15 to remember. Okay, because we got to understand that the covenant and the oath is not only made with the children of Israel that were standing there at that particular time, but also the people who were going to come through the generations. Okay, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by. Verse 17. And ye have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our God to go and serve the gods of these nations, lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood, and it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. The Lord will not spare him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven. So this is why it's so important that you got to be obedient to the Most High, and you got to fear him, and you got to keep these commandments. You got to understand this covenant and how serious it is, because this covenant directly ties to your life record being written in heaven. That's how deep this covenant goes. It's not a game. This covenant, this agreement that we have with the Most High, it's not nothing to be taken lightly. Okay, you have to be obedient. You can't be going serving other gods. You can't be transgressing his law. You can't teach that you don't have to keep the law. You can't teach these things, because this covenant is too serious, especially to the children of Israel. It's way too serious. It's directly linked to your name being either kept as a record in heaven for remembrance, or being blotted out and not being remembered by the Messiah. That's how serious it is. Okay. The Most High will get mad. He will be pissed off, and your name will be blotted out from under heaven. You will no longer be remembered. You will cease to exist. This is how serious it is. So again, I hope that you're being convicted by this, because I know I was convicted when I first brought this information to my wife, because I always try to show her information first before I go to anyone else. I always, get my wife's feedback, because she's here with me, and she knows, how to critique things and look at things and so on. So Always kind of get her feedback first. And you know, it shook her the first time I taught it to her. It's the first time I showed this to her. It shook her. You know, it's this is one of those convicting type lessons. All right, topics rather. You got to take this serious, Israel. This is not a game. This covenant is not to be taken lightly on any level, no matter how small or great the command is. You got to take it serious. Okay. This is why the Messiah said, "He that breaketh the least commandments and teach men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven." That means your name got written, your name that was written in the book of life from the moment you were born has now been removed. You are no longer remembered. Okay. Let me pause there real quick. Let me just see if there's any questions in the chat. Let me just pause here real quick. Let's see. Okay, so we got Messenger of Truth here. I knew it was a matter of time before he came, but all praises. It's all good. We'll keep it pushing. Let's see. Violators of the Sabbath. All right, so like I said, it was just a matter of time before he came in and said some stuff. But again, we'll keep it pushing. I don't see any other questions here. Looks like everybody is just tuning in, so we'll just keep it going. All right. So getting back to this. All right, so now we're going to go forward to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18. Let's go forward. Again, I'm not going to keep you guys for long. Actually, once we're done with the book of Revelation, I got a few scriptures to bring out in this, and then a couple more to hit in Psalm, and then we're going to actually getting ready to close out. So again, this is not something that is going to be long and dragged out. All right, so Revelation 13, verse 18. Revelation 13, verse 18. All right. All right. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is Salakia. It says, my bad, y'all. I actually meant to read verse 1 and verse 8, not verse 18. I was reading my notes wrong. So let me actually go up. Salakia for that. I was reading my notes wrong, and I didn't even catch that comma there. All right. So Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And then I'm gonna jump, jump down to verse 8. All right. Revelation chapter 13, Salakia, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Okay, so I'm starting here to just kind of set the context up in terms of what I'm going to read in verse 8, because this is referring to the beast. Okay, so now when you read verse 8, it says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Okay, so those who worship him, talking about the beast that was spoken about in verse 1. Okay, those people who worship the beast, their names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Okay, so that's why you got to understand what this beast is, and you have to be consciously aware of whether or not you've been worshiping this beast, because now you are in danger of having your record that's written in heaven removed. Okay, so that is why we need to be consciously aware of these things. That's why we got to study, put things under scrutiny, and so on and so on. Okay. Now I'm going to read Revelation chapter 17 and verse 8. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 8. It says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall not ascend, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Okay, so we see how this coincides with Revelation 13 concerning this beast. Okay, they that dwell on the earth are going to wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Okay, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Okay, because we know that this beast is going to get judged. Okay, this beast is going to get judged, and we cannot worship this beast, its image. Okay, these are things that can't be worshipped coming from the beast. All right, and just to kind of briefly explain, the mark of the beast, cannot take that mark. It's literally just talking about the things that go against the Most High. Okay, his commandments, his word, his testimony, the gospel. Okay, the law and the prophets. All right, which testify of the Messiah. You cannot go against those things. Okay, if you go against those things, then your name is not written in the book of life. So whereas it was there when you were fashioned in the womb, before your members were even fully formed, before you were given birth, now it's going to be removed out. Okay, Revelation chapter 20, and we're going to read verse 12, starting at verse 12. Revelation 20, starting at verse 12. It says, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Okay, so remember I was saying earlier that if you're not found written in the book of life, if your record's not kept there, that means that they got to go to another book, because now you got these book of good deeds and bad deeds. Okay, that are looked into according to their works, according to your deeds. Okay, well, wait a minute. What did this person do to have their name, to have their record removed out of the book of life or the book of remembrance? What did they do? So now they're going to go to that book. They're going to see, okay, this person's name's not there. Depart from me, because you're a worker of iniquity. Now your iniquity's got to get judged. So now they're going to go to this book, and then they got to see what happened. What did you do? And what kind of judgment is going to come upon you now? Okay, verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell were delivered up. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged, every man according to their works. Okay, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. This is why it's so important that you got to keep your name there in the book of life. You got to keep it there. Please prevent from having your name, your record removed out of heaven. Prevent that at all costs, because this is the judgment. You're getting thrown into the fire. Okay, and you're going to cease to exist. You're going to cease to exist. Okay, this is why it's so important. All right, let's go to Revelation 21, verse 27. So next chapter over, Revelation 21, verse 27. It says, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Okay, so simply put, if you want to be able to get into the Most High's kingdom, you got to be able to have your name remaining in the book of life. Okay. Have your name remaining in the book of life. All right. Even if you're not an Israelite, if you want to be able to come and bring your offerings to the nation of Israel and be able to serve Israel and serve the Most High, you got to keep your name in the book of life, which means what? You got to adhere to these law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? It's just that simple. You must adhere to what the Most High says. You must obey what the Most High says. I mean, there's no other way around this. Because no one is going to be in that kingdom with the Most High, whether you're Israel or whether you're of another nation. Okay, and whatever position you fall in, where with that, okay, you won't be there at all if your name is removed out of the book of life. And your name gets removed out of the book of life if you partake in the worship of the beast and his image, which is contrary to the Most High's word, his law, his statutes, his commandments, and his testimony. All right. So now let's go to Psalm chapter 69. Psalm chapter 69. And I want to read verse 27 and verse 28. So Psalm 69. Psalm 69, verse 27 and verse 28. It says, add iniquity unto their iniquity, and let them not come into thy righteousness. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living, and not be written with the righteous. Okay. So this is not a new concept. When you go to the book of Revelation, this is not a new concept. It's coming from the law and the prophets. That's where it's coming from. Okay. So they go hand in hand. All right. And we've been, for those of us who have the understanding, we've been trying to push this to the Christian urban apologist community for quite some time, that it goes hand in hand. What is written in what is commonly called the New Testament coincides with what is commonly called the Old Testament. Okay. The gospel comes out of the law and the prophets. Okay. So add iniquity unto their iniquity, and let them not come into that righteousness. Nope, you're not getting in. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living, so you won't be remembered, and you can't be written with the righteous. You can't even be in the fold of what Hebrews 12 verse 22 and 23 is talking about. You can't be in that fold of in any position, whether you're a nation serving Israel, okay, or whether you are an Israelite. You can't be a part of it. All right. Let's go to Psalm 109, the book of Psalm chapter 109. And we're going to start at verse 13. Psalm 109, verse 13. All right, it says, let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth. Okay, so now you see that the Most High, he will shut off generations. Like he'll just shut it off. Okay, now yes, we do not we do not get judged for the iniquity of our fathers if we repent and we are righteous. Okay, it can that yes, it can be restored, because that's what it talks about in Ezekiel. But if this iniquity just continues on for generation to generation to generation, the Most High is going to shut that generation down. All right, make it to where you be barren, you can't have children no more, and that generation will just fade out. Okay, and it has happened. When you study genealogies in the scriptures, it has happened. Generations are no longer that were once there, that was once being recorded, are no longer getting recorded. All right. So this is why it's serious. This is why we got to teach our children how to be righteous, how to serve the Most High. Okay. Because the iniquities are going to be remembered before the Most High, because that's kept as a record also. That's also kept as a record. Okay. And when the day of judgment comes, the books, plural, are going to be opened. The book of life, okay, name's not there. All right. Book of good deeds and bad deeds. All right, where's this person at? All right, boom, there they are. Oh, you did this, got to go to the fire. It's just that simple. And your memory will be cut off from the earth. It's not going to be remembered among the righteous and the living. It's not going to be remembered. Okay? You will cease to exist in any remembrance of any sort. This is why we must give our due diligence in keeping our names in the book of life. Okay. So I'm going to close out, and I'm going to get ready to send out the link real quick. Let me close out. Revelation. Like I said, you guys, I wasn't going to keep you guys for too long. Revelation 22 and verse 19. Revelation 22 and verse 19. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book, Salakia, of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. Okay. So this is why, and again, this is a tenet that comes from the law and the prophets about don't add or take away. It's a tenet that comes from that. Okay. We cannot add or take away from these words, from what the Most High commanded, what he spoke. We can't take away from it. Okay. Because we are in danger of having our record removed out of heaven, our name, our life written, that is written and recorded in heaven, being erased. Okay. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Let me go ahead and send this link out in the chat. If anybody wants to come on, they can. The link is now in the chat on YouTube as well as Facebook. If you do come on, as always, Debate Talk for You does not condone any foul language, any disrespect, or any name calling. If these things do occur, you will be removed from the platform immediately. Okay. So if you want to come on, go ahead. I'll stay on for a little bit. I'm gonna just go through these comments real quick. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, I know, man. I know. I know, man. Zakaria. I know. It's like I said, the MOT is just someone that I don't know. I'm not even gonna comment, man, because it's someone that's constantly commenting on videos that myself or my co-host does. He constantly comments on things that we do, and it's always in opposition at all times for whatever reason. Okay. But again, it is a Sabbath, so we're not going to kindle that fire by way of strife and contention. All right. Let me see what else we got here. I do see some people that's jumping on. Just give me 1 second, y'all, and I'm definitely going to bring you guys in. Let's see what we got here. All right, this person says, do your own research. Jesus is the way, and we rest in him, not your enemy. Just made a statement. Okay. All right. Well, so be it then. Let's see. What else we got here? Yeah, I see you guys coming on. I'm just going through these comments real quick. I'm gonna bring you guys on in just a second. All right. Let's see, Michael Paul. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys. All right. So shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and bring these folks on. All right. The first person I'm gonna bring on is Vince. Vince, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Let me see if I can ask. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself, Vince. You're live on the air.
Hey, what's up, brother Gabbar? Peace to the chat, peace to Sal, peace to the DT4U family. Yeah, man, great lesson. I think there's a total misconception about, the law, how it's applied, and how it's talked about in different sections in the New Testament. And I think people miss the concept of the whole Bible when they isolate scriptures, and try to divide the scriptures, as in like from the Old Testament and New Testament. But one of the things that I like to say about, respond to you about what the blotting out thing is that Romans 2, man, when people miss, what Romans 2:12 is actually saying, like it all leads up to him talking about him and God talking about, or Paul talking about how God is no respecter of persons and everybody's going to be judged. Yes, the Jew is going to get it first, but then after the Jew, the Gentiles or the nations are going to get it as well. But that Roman 2:12, man, is kind of deep, and it really touches in. And I just wanted to read it, and then I'll bow down. But
All right,
or bow out.
let me get it back on the screen real quick so that people can see it. All right, so Revelations, you
Okay.
said 2 and 12, right?
Yeah, 2:12.
All right, let me get it up here for you. All right, Revelations 2 and 12. All right, go ahead.
Okay, and I actually start at 11. It says, "For there is no respect of persons with God." And then 2:12 says, "For as many have, have sinned without law, shall also perish without law." And that's what the point that I like to focus on. And it says, "As many have sinned in the law, shall be judged by the law." So what I'm getting out of this is like that word "perish" means cut off, destroyed, and you're not going to be remembered no more, wiped out, but so if you're sinning without the law, then there's no chance for you, because the people that's going to be judged is the one who have sinned in the law. So that means that you're doing the law, but you make mistakes, but you're going to be judged by the things that you do. But those who are sinning without the law, who disregard it and don't even think to think about it at all, they're going to be the ones that's going to be cut off and destroyed. And Israel is a good example of that, the sign, because, he cut off, just imagine, he cut off his own people in the house of Israel. And I'll yield with that. You brothers have a good night. I'll listen to what you guys have to say, in the YouTube chat. But peace.
All right, man. All praises, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, definitely. That judgment's gonna come. And so this is why it's just one of those topics that you really gotta, you kind of gotta sit down and really meditate on it, man, because it's just so important that we the bottom line is, this is why Ecclesiastes 12 and what 13 says, let us hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear God to keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. I mean, we got to fear the Most High, and be able to do what he requires of us. Okay, because this is, at the end of the day, this is his show, but definitely appreciate you coming on. And we're gonna move on from there. Let me bring in the next person. King Melik Zakaria. Shalom, Shabbat shalom. You're live on the air.
That's right. Shabbat shalom. All praises to the Most High. Shalom out to all the Hebrew Israelites on this Sabbath that are scattered to the four corners of the earth. I am the creator at Shalom Care, and I am an activist for reparations for the modern day descendants of American Negro slaves. I just had a quick comment, question regarding this powerful study that is just really has encouraged me, but has kind of opened my mind. If your name is already written in the book, and you're born into this world, and you never realize this. And you live a life of sin. You just kind of out there, kind of wild, not knowing this. And then you stumble upon a study like this, and you realize this. Is it possible to not know that you were on this list, that your name was written, and then you realize it later after you live a sinful life?
Well, you know, when that is an interesting question. I'll say this, you know, uh when you read in the law as well as in the book of Acts, it talks about the sin of um of what's the word, of ignorance. So those things actually get winked at. You know, if you don't know, if you truly don't know, then you got to get judged on only what you do know. Okay, so if you lived a life not knowing that and not ever being taught that you were supposed to obey God, keep His commandments,
Exactly.
uh, you know, all these things, you know, then that's where the ignorance is applied, and then it's got to get judged that way. Okay.
Okay.
And according to the law, the sin of ignorance is winked at. Okay. Of course, offerings have to get brought in and so on and so forth. And if you're an Israelite, not knowing these things, you know, not knowing that you're supposed to keep the law, keep the commandments, and so on and so forth, then yeah, like I guess in the kingdom, maybe you would get a lower position, you know. And other brothers may have other verses on that, you know. That's just what I know on the subject matter is that, you know, you may have a lower position or something. You may just be among the common people or whatever the case is, you know. But this is why when we read in out of the Apocrypha, I believe it's in Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 15, it says to be not ignorant of any matter small or great. All right. So we do have a duty to uh investigate, study, research to make sure that we are doing the right things.
That's right.
Okay. At some point, I believe at some point, all of us have been given the opportunity to at least be told to go look, study, read, you know, in some way, shape, or form throughout our generations. It's been stated. Whether you watched a telebroadcast, whether you listened to the radio, whether you was in church, whether your parents said it, someone at school, work. I believe that throughout our generations, someone has said something at some point. Okay. And now if you don't adhere to it, you know, because of pride and whatever, then yeah, then the judgment is gonna come on that. Because and this is why it talks about, you know, how the gospel's got to be preached, you know, throughout the world. Okay,
Oh,
so you know, that's what I'm seeing on it. I will have to look into that more thoroughly to get a more solid understanding about those who never knew, because that's not the first time that question has been asked. So I do want to have more understanding on that, and most high willing, I could bring that out at another time. Is there anything else that you got? Because I got another guest that's getting ready to
no,
come on.
I'm fine. All praises. That was awesome. Appreciate that answer.
All right, all praises, King Zakar, and we gonna get this brother back on here, man, because he's got more information to bring out. I've already been kind of meditating on when that next date is. So we'll get together on the back end, and we'll get you back on so that we can continue to go forward with
All
the
praises.
reparations talk.
All praises to the Most High.
All right,
Shalom.
all praises. I appreciate you coming on. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, so we got Robinson Finnegas. I'm gonna get your name right now. I'm getting it right this time. Robinson Finnegas. You're live on the air. Shalom.
Hey, how's it going, my brother? It's actually Tajinas. That's my last name.
See, I'm still getting it wrong.
All right, my brother. Okay, excellent. To King Malek for asking the question. That's a very important question you just posed, because I'm calling because basically I've actually dealt with many people that basically they never heard the law, the statutes and commandments, and they don't know about it, but they're ignorant to it. For example, I'm gonna give you an example of certain people now. I do security and I work with certain people, and I'm constantly preaching the scriptures to them. And there are many people who I come in contact with. They know I'm the person who usually keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So whenever I try to bring scriptures to them, they know I'm going to hit them with something that's gonna make them see their own sins. So the most of the people, they say, please don't tell me about it, because now if you tell me, now I'm going to be able to see the sins I'm committed now, and I must keep it now, because if I don't keep it now, that means I cannot say I was ignorant to the laws. You see what I'm talking about? For example, I got certain people that loves to eat pork, and I tell them eating pork is not something you should be doing. That even the most I say that eating pork, you should not even touch the dead flesh of the carcass of a pork, basically. So, but a lot of them says what I'll do is, because God is such a forgiving God, I'll just eat my pork now and just ask for forgiveness later. So one of the things I actually tell them is, by doing that, you're doing something very dangerous, because there's actually a scripture in Proverbs 28 that says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. So I tell them, don't think you're gonna find your way, a little loophole where you're gonna continue to sin and then ask for forgiveness later, and then just say, I'm just gonna keep sinning and just keep asking for forgiveness. I said, that's being lukewarm, and you're taking the Most High for granted by, you're disrespecting him, thinking that I can do whatever I want, but all I have to do is just ask for forgiveness and keep continuing to sin. So that was something I've always let people know. And many people I work with, they do not want to hear the word. They say, nope, I don't want to hear it, because I know this guy, whenever he comes through, he's going to start speaking the word of the Most High. He's going to be bringing the scriptures to us, and we don't want to hear what he has to say, because he's going to make us now have to look for, he's going to make us look at the sins we are committing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you're making. And see, we live in a time where, I mean, it's kind of hard to miss the information now, because I mean, becoming Israel and and returning back to the Most High and keeping His commandments, this is becoming a mainstream religion. Though people don't want to admit it, it's becoming a mainstream religion, because we have so many of our people that are turning back to the Most High, that are waking up to who they are, that keeping the commandments and everything. And it's not just what you see from the camps. Okay, you got a lot of people that are doing this, people that you're probably never going to see on the front line. Okay, so this thing is becoming more mainstream. So, I have family members, they've come to me and asked me questions, because I was, with my family, I was kind of like, man, I don't know about, because they're not gonna hear it anyway. So I'm just kind of like, I gotta tread lightly with them and everything. But I've had some of my family members actually ask me questions. So, without me saying anything to them. So, they're hearing it another way. So regardless, it is getting out there.
It's getting out
and
there.
and at some point the ears are gonna have ears to hear, and whether they adhere to it or not is where then that judgment is going to lie. I definitely admire the fact that when you at work, you let them know. You don't hold no punches. I mean, I have to be careful at work, because I'm going into people's homes. So, and it's like, when you're on their territory, it's like, you kind of have to make sure you maintain your ground at the same time, not disrespect their home, So, but
Oh yeah, I don't get into their personal
when I used to
business.
work at the warehouse and stuff, oh yeah, it was, I was just shooting from the hip when I was at the warehouse, but, definitely gotta do that. Just continue to get it out. And like I said, we live in a time where it's really kind of hard to miss at this point.
Yeah, with all the social medias you have, and everybody having their own cell phones, even like third world countries, they even have cell phones and things like that. So everybody is on social media. They know about it. They're gonna get the word either way, even if it's not from a family member. They're gonna run into somebody. The Most High is gonna allow somebody to run into them that's basically gonna let them know the scripture, and they could not even be searching for it. Someone else could even send them to it, like somebody forward a message or video, and they see it and they watch it and they just ignored it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, man, the word is getting out there, man. And we're either gonna heed to it, or we're gonna turn our ears away from, like you said, even his prayer
Mhm.
shall be an abomination. And even John 9:31 says that we know that God does not hear the prayer of sinners.
That's true.
So, I mean, this is why it's so serious that we, adhere to this word. I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. I'm gonna see if anybody else is gonna come on. I got a couple other comments to make. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. But I definitely appreciate you always tuning in and always giving your feedback in the chat. Your wisdom is always welcome. And may the Most High be with you always.
You too, my brother. Shalom.
All right, shalom. All right, so let's see. Sal Showtime. Sal, you're tuning in, man. Look, y'all need to donate to this brother and his platform, man. He's had this platform for a very, very long time, and I actually just got a refresher on how much content is on this brother's platform, because I'm actually trying to work on getting someone on here to go live on YouTube to do a hot seat segment. I know the hot seat segment was typically always done on Blog Talk, but I'm trying to actually get them live on YouTube and Facebook now to do a hot seat segment. And so I sent this particular individual all I told this particular individual who I'm trying to get on the hot seat that I would send him some links for the hot seat segment. And so I went into the archives, and I'm like, man, it's like 50 videos on the hot seat segment. I didn't realize it was actually that many. So, definitely Sal has put in the time and the work, man, throughout the years. And, we want to keep this thing going, and we want to actually make improvements to Debate Talk for You. We want to keep up with the times. So, Sal, man, your work and dedication for the community is definitely appreciated, and it is well regarded, and held to a very high esteem. You've kept your platform open to allow both Israelites, Christians, and whoever to actually come on here. Though you have your own stance on what you believe in, but you definitely kept that platform open, and it's always been respectful, and the integrity has always been maintained for this platform. So that's why your longevity continues to persist. All right. So shout out to Sal Showtime. Y'all see the information scrolling on bottom on how to donate, to like the page and everything. Of course, he's adding the quick plug here. Um, Again, it is back on Debate Talk for You. There is a new phone number. So when you tune into those shows, that's the number that you got to call now. Okay. 516-531-9959. 516-531-9959. Okay. So again, show your support to Debate Talk for You, and Most High willing, we're gonna keep this thing going. All right. Just want to say shalom to Dr. Thomas, Vinny D. Appreciate you coming on, man. And always monitoring the chat. LM, I think you got a question down here. Yeah. When you call in to Debate Talk for You on that number, if you want to come on live, don't forget to press 1 to talk. All right, definitely. Much respect to that, Vinny. Bleedo, nothing you eat defiles you. If someone chooses to eat pork, they good. All right, man. Look, you got to prove that out of the scriptures, man. You got to prove that out of the scriptures, man. And we can have a bridging the gap on that, Most High willing. I can bring my other co-hosts on, and we can do a bridging the gap segment. Okay, if you want to deal with that subject. All right. I think that was actually in response to what the brother who just came on was talking about, when he was talking about the things that he speaks with his coworkers with. All right. All right, says, didn't Yahushua cast the demons out of the demon possessed man into pigs? So that being said, should one eat pork? Just an acknowledgement. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, the scriptures talk about how every kind consorts with its like. So an unclean spirit is going to go into an unclean animal. All right, that's what that's dealing with. Okay. Uh, you know, you're going to consort with your light. So an unclean spirit gets cast into an unclean animal. Okay. Just clearly a separation. All right. With even with what the Messiah and how he was dealing with those spirits. All right. Let's see here. See if there's any more comments. I see comments are still being made. Swine is a symbol. Okay. You know what? It's like I said, Bleedo, man. Get with myself. Get with my co-host. I believe y'all are friends on Facebook, and we can set up a Bridging the Gap segment. Okay. So, man, I'll just handle it as that. Okay. Let me go back up here real quick because I want to respond to this real quick. All right. MOT, Messenger of Truth. Look at all you violators of the Sabbath. LOL. Wow. All right. So Messenger of Truth. You know, bro, for a long time, man, you've always come on every show that we do, whether it be blog talk or live stream. Just about every show that we do, almost not all of them, but just about every one. You've always got something to say. And my name is always in your mouth, man. If you got a problem, address it. You address it with me privately. If we can't deal with it privately, then we can address it before the public. Okay? Because it seems you got a problem with myself and my co-host. Because you always come on here saying stuff and you're condescending, bro. All right. So if you got a problem, let's deal with it like men. All right. And I'm gonna leave it there. What else we got? Let's see. Calavana. Calavana. Wow. Yeah, man. So anyway, yeah, Bleedo, sounds good. Right. So yeah. It's like I said, we can definitely set that up. And you already know, man, it's debate talk for you. So you know, we're gonna keep it respectful. All right. So with that, if no one else is gonna come on, we'll go ahead and get ready to shut it down. I do appreciate everybody that's tuned in to the chat. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the lesson. Most High willing, gave me the power and hold on, man. You stopped me in my tracks, man. Yeah, I know, man. It's always a thesis statement from this guy, man. I mean, I don't get it. I won't even say nothing about him. I never say anything about this guy, and yet he's always got something to say, and I don't know why. He's always got something to say, and I've been keeping my mouth shut for a couple of years now, and he's continued to put my name in his mouth, and I don't understand why. But yet my co-host, he's afraid to debate him, and I don't know why. I guess because he felt like he's not on his level or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, MOT, if you got a problem, we can address it. All right. And we can set up something where that can be addressed. Okay. Because I'm actually getting very offended by a lot of these condescending comments. I just haven't been saying anything. All right. But it's continuing on. So if you got a problem, let's address it. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, appreciate everybody for tuning in on the chat. And if you're listening to the playback, hopefully your ears have been edified when you have tuned into this. Shout out once again to Sal Showtime for allowing us to come on this platform and to do our thing. Sal, again, man, your generosity is much appreciated for allowing us to do our thing on here. We're going to be definitely ramping things up and making some improvements. Most High willing, as we continue this thing on. Because debate talk for you, this is not the end. This is only the beginning, and we're gonna take this thing and carry it into the future. All right, for as long as we have breath in our life, in our bodies. All right. To my co-host, Amiyan, just want to say shout out to you. I know you did your thing last night. Y'all go check that out. He's dealing with the controversy side. We may swap back and forth because I got some controversial topics that I want to bring out. My schedule just has to be in working order to be able to go on at that particular time to do it. So y'all check out the things that he's doing on that end. We got some other things that are lined up as well that we are going to be bringing on, and most high willing, we will get those things established, and y'all will be tuned into those. To our Father Yahweh, I thank you for allowing me to be able to have the vessel used to disseminate this information to the people. Father, you have once again given me grace and the ability to perform the job and the duty at hand, in spite of my imperfections. Father, I pray that you see that my efforts are not in vain, that they are sincere, and that I desire to just teach your word and to execute righteousness as best as I can, and continue to grow and to repent from the former ways that I have indulged myself in. I just want to ask that, Father, that in the authority of your Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, that you continue to just allow me to do what is necessary to be pleasing in your sight, and to be able to bring your word to pass as you see fit. To everybody that's tuning in, once again, if you're keeping the Sabbath today, I hope you enjoy it. Get your study in, keep pushing. Always read, pray, get your fasting in whenever you can, and endure all the way until the end. May the Most High Yahweh keep you and watch you all over always. I bid you all a farewell. I am Gabbar Allah. This is Debate Talk for You. Shabbat Shalom.